Well, hello there YouTube peeps, and welcome to my factory models and a little figure waffle stroke chat. Seeing as I'm working on the hanomag, and anyone who's familiar with that hanomag, the 135 Tamiya or similar kits, knows that it comes with 5 figures, which to some people they find daunting. A lot of modelers, for some reason, and I do understand it because I'm probably one of them, find figures pretty daunting, scary, or even almost a state of fear with some people, which can be a bit odd to fathom when you think that some people that I've heard say these things are actually brilliant at painting like car panels, or the interior of like a car control panel, or aircraft's cockpit with incredible detail that I've not even achieved. And yet when it comes to figure, it's like whew, it's like almost hands-off feel. But I do understand that. I think you suddenly can go from painting like an aircraft wing, for example, we've got a lot of surface area, to thinking, oh no, you know, I've now got to paint this tiny figure, because they do tend to be smaller obviously, to go with the diorama. But it all seems a bit odd to me to spend hours, weeks, months, whatever, making a great model, doesn't matter what it is, and then just kind of really hacking it on the figures. And because I think it does let the overall model down. Of course you can ignore the figures in the kit and just show the, like if it's an armoured vehicle or something, you can just show that, you know, so that's fair enough. But I think sometimes it's good to push ourselves, and so as I was working on the hanomag and kind of messed the tracks up, I thought in the interim I'll just get on with some figure painting. There's going to be another hanomag update after this video. So anyway, what seems to go wrong with a lot of people, myself included, when I started trying to do a few figures, is you tend to think, oh, you know, flesh is pink, which it is not at all. You know, it's basically a mixture of flesh colours, a mixture of like red, yellow and blues, you know, worked up with white till you get the right tone. A lot of people just seem to have a uniform colour of pink, or just really too pasty face, you know, just completely white faces, no shadows or tone. And that, even if you paint the rest of like the uniform up, or details, weapons, that kind of thing, or if it's a model railway, you know, other kind of figures, you know, civilian figures, but then you're kind of letting the whole figure down. And it's not easy, I agree, it's difficult things to paint at the best of times, you know, again, because you're on such a smaller scale. But anyway, so if this helps anyone, I think I might have talked about this before, I'm going to talk about it again. So to mix up a flesh colour, which results eventually in that, you want to mix together your acrylics in red, blue and yellow, the primaries, with a touch of white. You'll end up with like a darker brown, but it's kind of an off brown really. But what you'll do, first of all you'll end up with that. Then you can extract some of this, put it into another pot or another mixing pot, add your white, you know, add acrylic, more drops of acrylic, white, until you've got it right for what you want to paint. You know, you'll have to experiment again until you get the right colour, so it lightens it up. I'll give you an example, a quick example here that we've got on the sprues. I've been working on these figures over here, but yeah, that's right. So we've got, let me find the right one. Where is he gone? Yeah, if you look for this, for example, there's two hands there, or 2 arms. On this painting here, on the right you've got the darker hand. That's still like got the dark brown primer on it, or the first layer. Then when that's dried, that's your lighter flesh tone. on there. You can always lighten it and, like I say, lighten it or darken it according to your wishes, but I think you'll find that that is slightly more realistic than that one, or just painting it pink, you know, like a piece of blancmange or something. But so that's what I'm aiming for. That's basically what I'm aiming for, if you can see it there. Similar to that. I tend to, what I've done with some of these is that initially these have had either a black primer coat or a dark to medium brown primer coat. What that tends to do is give your figures a little bit more warmth and depth than just having kind of a grey coat. Basically, that's what I seem to feel about it. That's what it seems to give the model to me. So then you can pick out the details. You'll have definitely more depth in the details when you put your lime washes and things like that in. So yeah, you've got. I think the thing with figures is you can set them up, paint your parts. So if you're just doing trousers, you just go get your mixture grey, do your whole 5 figures at once. You know, you can almost get a conveyor belt thing going. But once you've got them built up to a certain level, when it comes to details, I think it's best just to concentrate on one figure at a time, get one good one done, and then move on to the next. Don't start doing sort of 3 or 4 at once. Maybe some people can do that. I personally can't. I guess it's more a personal thing, that. But so that's what I'm trying to do with those hanomag figures, or those German infantry figures. Let me just give you a little example. This is an old airfix multipose set. These are 132 figures, but the illustration on the front, the cover painting, is actually quite good for reference. In fact, I think it's very good, because if you look here, kind of illustrates my point a bit on the face here. When I'm not suggesting we will have to get to that level of realism. You can see it. So, but as you can see, you've got a much darker area with your light tones, and under the helmet you've basically got a shadow under your helmet. So they're not bright pink or really white. You know, a lot of these soldiers, obviously they were quite weathered. The ones that had more like combat experience or field experience, they've been out on all kinds of weathers. You know, these guys are quite weathered. They weren't lily white, you know, cosseted people, for want of a better description. Anyway, you can see, like here, that's a good example there. Nice shadow there across that figure. You know, so you've got your darker browns tone, your flesh tones there, and on the hands as well. Definitely on the hands there. So that's a good reference point, as you can see there. So that's just not bright pink. So you've got a few things you can look at. Your tones, your shading, and your colours, just to make it a bit more interesting. Because, you know, if you're painting just like a grey uniform or a grey aircraft, grey car, tank, whatever it is, you know, sometimes now with a plethora of like grey models, it's quite difficult to make them interesting. But you can do that by just lots of subtle toning. Basically, that's what I feel. Obviously, you know, depends how much time you've got on your hands to do that. But if you haven't got much time, you can get away with applying a few brief washes for these figures, you know, and to put in your dioramas. They don't have to be hyper detailed, you know, hyper realism. Or not, a lot of us don't need to do that. But all I'm saying is that I think too many people are a little bit too wary of getting to grips with figures. And, you know, I think once you get over some sort of wall you've put up about painting them, just practicing on them, you'll actually find it starts to get a little bit easier. So that's my little waffle thoughts on painting figures so far. I mean, I'll constantly update and add to these ideas, but not that they're anything new, but that's another example of what you can do with mixing your own colours for kind of almost a rust colour. This is what I use for my hanomag tracks. That's just basically like a yellow ochre mixed with a light brown, and again you can either tone that up or tone that down to get the required kind of rust effect. Again, that's one of those other things that can be easily overdone, too much rust, and which I don't want that really. But all I'm saying is you don't have to go out buying expensive, you know, paints that are named after everything under the sun, every weird name going. You know, just have one colour to tip onto, you know, to paint on one wheel or paint on one item of clothing or whatever. You know, you can actually just mix them up yourself, adding some matte thinners or even clear, so the paint flows nicely. It will save you quite a lot of money that way, and you will still get, it's down to the modeler anyway. It's not about how much, you know, whether you've got the best gear and the, you know, all the trendy paints. It's whether you can actually use the stuff. Yeah, it's always nice to, you know, to be able to not think about it and think, oh well, you know, I kind of want that white fence colour for a white fence, and I don't want to think about it, and got the money and I'd buy it. Totally with that as well. You know, or you want your dark earth green, you don't want to think about mixing it because you might have not much time, and you know, again, so you just want that for a camouflage pattern for your you know, your Spitfire or whatever, and you don't want to think about it, you just want to buy it. But I think ultimately it can be a lot more rewarding, you know, once you learn more as well. You learn more about colours and tones when you actually have to mix them up yourself. But that's just my way. So anyway, I hope this little bye-bye ramble gave you something to go on. Hope it helps some of you modelers out there, and or, you know, painters, crafts painters, whatever, figure painters. Just ideas and approaches, I guess. So thanks for watching and listening to my little instalment, and see you all on the next video. Oh, there is one last thing. I'd like to thank there's been a little flurry of new subscribers that have appeared recently, so very grateful for that, and anyone else who fancies subscribing. So once again, you know, thanks to all the new subscribers, and see you all on the next video. Bye for now.